Catalle's terrifying aura alone makes even the ancient fire spirit hesitate for a brief moment. Enraged by the insult, Fuego swears to burn the arrogant human without leaving ashes behind. Flames surge across Fuego's body as overwhelming fire energy gathers before the devastating charge. The blazing spirit explodes forward, transforming into a living inferno aimed straight at Catalle. Catalle watches the charging beast calmly, barely reacting as the fiery attack closes in. A massive explosion erupts, shaking the battlefield and covering everything in blazing destruction. The Elf Queen shields herself, expecting the overwhelming explosion to finish the impossible battle. Before anyone realizes it, Catalle grabs Fuego's blazing horn with unbelievable raw strength. Holding the raging beast firmly, Catalle smiles, finally finding an opponent worth fighting seriously. With absolute confidence, Catalle declares he can unleash his full strength against a true beast. The Elf Queen watches in disbelief as Catalle remains completely unharmed after the devastating blast. Without hesitation, Catalle hurls the blazing spirit across the battlefield with monstrous physical strength. Fuego crashes through the air like a meteor, unable to resist Catalle's overwhelming power. The fiery spirit slams into the distant forest, triggering a massive explosion that shakes the land. A towering blast erupts, engulfing the forest in flames and scattering debris across the battlefield. The Elf Queen braces against the shockwave, while Catalle calmly follows through the blazing destruction. Unable to believe her eyes, the Queen realizes such impossible strength shouldn't even exist. From above, the battlefield reveals enormous craters carved solely by Catalle's unbelievable physical might. Dust settles as Catalle casually walks forward, leaving the stunned Elf Queen completely speechless. Step by step, Catalle approaches the shaken Queen while the battlefield falls into absolute silence. Accepting defeat, the elf lowers her head and begs him to spare her innocent people. Catalle stops instantly, listening calmly as the desperate elf pleads for her clan's survival. With a steady voice, Catalle reveals he never considered the elves his enemies at all. The elf freezes, unable to comprehend mercy from the man she feared most. As Catalle explains everything, the elf finally realizes his intentions were completely genuine. Overcome with shame, she bows deeply and sincerely apologizes for judging him so quickly. Remembering the rescued elf child, crushing guilt floods her heart for accusing an innocent man. Catalle simply smiles, understanding their fear after years of relentless persecution by other humans. Still uncertain, the elf cautiously asks whether he truly isn't one of their pursuers. Catalle honestly explains he'd never even seen an elf before arriving in this frozen land. The elf suddenly freezes, recognizing the legendary ashen barbarian from the deadly white tundra. Catalle calmly confirms the title, unaware his name carries terrifying legends beyond the frozen wasteland. The revelation leaves the elf speechless, believing no ordinary human could survive that cursed land. A frightening possibility strikes her. If Catalle escaped, perhaps other monstrous beings could too. Catalle explains the tundra's absolute law, broken only because mysterious quests granted him an escape. Hearing no monsters can leave, the elf finally exhales in overwhelming relief and gratitude. Determined to repay his kindness, she sincerely offers any help within her power to make amends. Curious, instead of demanding rewards, Catalle asks about spirits and forming contracts with them. The elf explains such spiritual pacts are nearly impossible for anyone outside the elven race. Even so, Catalle listens carefully, already considering another impossible challenge waiting ahead. The elf believes a human, deeply connected to nature, might still forge a rare spirit pact. She directs Catalle toward Elfo Sagrado, the sacred sanctuary where powerful spirit bonds are possible. The magnificent world tree towers above, home of the elven god and their holiest sanctuary. Smiling confidently, Catalle wonders whether a human like him would even be welcomed inside. She agrees to personally recommend him, ensuring the sanctuary guardians allow his peaceful entry. The elf reveals Elfo Sagrado is every elf's sacred homeland, treasured beyond life itself. She recalls ruthless humans explaining why their sanctuary's location has remained an absolute secret. To earn his trust, she summons a glowing spirit crystal that radiates pure, elven magic. She gently offers the enchanted crystal, promising it will guide Catalle safely to their sanctuary. Catalle gratefully accepts her gift, sealing their newfound friendship with a simple handshake of trust. She warns Catalle that the elven god will personally test anyone seeking the sacred sanctuary. Confident in his strength, she sincerely wishes him good fortune before their peaceful farewell. The elf finally introduces herself as Queen Marsilia, Hasiane Carusia, of the Browning Leaf clan. With a warm grin, the barbarian simply introduces himself as Catalle, proud of his name. Without warning, Catalle launches forward, exploding across the battlefield with unbelievable speed and force. His overwhelming momentum tears through the landscape, leaving only a devastating blur behind him. Moments later, his shockwave races across the forest, vanishing beyond the distant horizon instantly. Border guards panic as a terrifying disturbance rapidly approaches the kingdom of Gehentra's frontier. The chief guard immediately orders every soldier mobilized, fearing an unknown catastrophe is approaching. A colossal impact shakes the forest outside the walls, leaving every guard frozen in fear. Catalle calmly walks through the dust, his overwhelming presence instantly silencing the terrified battlefield. The stunned guards freeze in fear, unable to believe the mysterious warrior standing before them. Smiling warmly, Catalle politely greets the guards, completely unaware of their growing panic and suspicion. The soldiers cautiously surround him, confused by his calm attitude, despite the overwhelming shockwave. The guards nervously realize the terrifying explosion moments ago was caused entirely by this lone man. His ash-grey hair immediately catches their attention, matching the legendary warrior described in ancient tales. Then they notice the scar across his chest. Confirming their unbelievable suspicion beyond any doubt, a chilling memory resurfaces as they recognize him as the feared Ashen Barbarian from legend. Panicked soldiers raise their weapons, desperately warning Catalle not to take another single step forward. Remaining completely calm, Catalle raises an open hand and assures everyone he comes in peace. The nervous captain steadies his sword and cautiously demands Catalle explain why he came here. Without hesitation, Catalle points directly toward the massive gate, revealing his destination with complete confidence. Every guard instinctively turns toward the gate, confused by his unexpected gesture and calm demeanor. Catalle politely explains he simply wishes to enter their territory without causing anyone any trouble. He honestly admits he hopes to stay temporarily, though even he doesn't know for how long. The officer records Catalle's name, treating the mysterious visitor with cautious professionalism despite lingering fear. The captain requests proof of identity or someone trustworthy who can personally vouch for Catalle. Remembering a precious farewell gift, Catalle presents the Akasha family's shining crest before the stunned guards. The elegant crest lands softly on the table, radiating authority far beyond an ordinary noble insignia. Realizing this emblem is incredibly important, Catalle explains the crest came directly from the Akasha bloodline, catching the captain's full attention. Recognizing the famous merchant family, the captain carefully examines the glowing crest with growing curiosity. The crest appears genuine, yet the captain admits verifying such a valuable symbol isn't easy. Unable to confirm its authenticity completely, the captain agrees to trust Catalle under one important condition. Curious but composed, Catalle calmly asks what condition must be fulfilled before receiving official permission. The captain explains Catalle must first prove he isn't a danger to their kingdom. 3 unidentified travelers await nearby, and Catalle must join them to clear a dangerous border dungeon. After considering the request briefly, Catalle decides the challenge sounds simple enough to accept. With a confident smile, Catalle immediately accepts the condition without showing the slightest hesitation. The captain adds one final rule: report every detail inside the dungeon after returning safely. Catalle praises the captain's strategy, amused by the clever plan to expose suspicious outsiders. Hesitating nervously, the captain asks the surprising question: was Catalle truly a barbarian? Without the slightest hesitation, Catalle smiles confidently and proudly confirms his barbarian identity. The captain freezes, realizing every stereotype about barbarians has just been completely shattered. Clearing the awkward silence, the captain dismisses the topic and directs Catalle toward the waiting party. Nearby, a weary, armored man complains about being forced to cooperate with an ordinary thief. The battered knight introduces himself as Alexandro Tyrannus, openly disgusted by the mission. The irritated thief mocks the knight, blaming his pride for getting robbed so easily. Furious, the self-proclaimed holy knight explodes, outraged that a thief dared insult his honor. The thief sneers back, mocking the knight's rusty armor and questioning his so-called holy status.